Hey everyone, welcome back. We're going to be diving deep into something that I'm sure is on a lot of your minds, and that is how to reach that magical $3 million retirement goal. And specifically for us medical professionals, right, we're looking at this article called Want $3 million by Retirement? Here's how much medical professionals should invest each month by age. And what I think is really cool about this article is that they get it, like they understand that being a medical professional is not like the typical 9 to 5 kind of career path.
It's a very unique path, right? And I think the article really zeroes in on the fact that medical professionals often have a need for more than the usual $1.5 million. Because, we have longer lifespans, hopefully, and we have potential healthcare needs down the line, maybe supporting family, all of those things add up, right?
Yeah. So we're not just talking about like comfy retirement. It's like secure retirement. It's like that freedom to actually, enjoy your time without having to constantly check your bank balance. It's peace of mind, right? Like imagine the stress of having to choose between traveling to see your grandkids and covering a surprise medical expense. So a larger nest egg removes that worry and lets you savor those golden years.
All right, so let's get into it. Like, how do we actually get to this $3 million goal? Well, this article uses a 7% average annual return, which they say is based on the historical performance of the stock market, and they adjust that for inflation. Now, obviously, that's not a guarantee, but it gives you a reasonable starting point.
Yeah, and that's where the magic of compounding comes in. Think of it like a snowball rolling down a hill, right? It starts small, but as it rolls, it picks up more snow. Gets bigger and bigger. And with compounding, those returns generate more returns, which accelerates your growth over time. So even a small amount invested early on can grow significantly as long as you keep at it. Time is money. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty here and break it down by age. Starting with those of you in your 20s, fresh out of med school, the article says that you need to be investing about $400 a month. But let's be real here. $400 a month when you're probably still swimming in student loan debt.
Yeah, that's a tough ask for sure. I think the article really stresses starting small, though, right? Even if it's $100 or $200 a month, the important thing is to start. And then as your income grows, gradually increase that amount. And because you're starting early, those small amounts, they have decades to benefit from compounding. Like planting a seed, the sooner you plant it, the more time it has to grow into a mighty oak.
Yeah, we're talking 40 years of potential growth here, right? But what about those of you who are a little bit further along, maybe in your 30s, juggling career growth, a family, maybe even a mortgage? How does that $3 million plan change?
Well, things definitely intensify in your 30s, right? The article recommends bumping up that monthly investment to about $800 to stay on track.
Okay, so that's a significant jump. But they do offer some practical tips in this article, right? Like setting up automatic contributions. So instead of relying on willpower to save you, just automate it. You take the decision-making out of the equation.
Exactly. Put your savings on autopilot. And I think the good thing about tackling this in your 30s is you avoid playing catch-up later and maybe having to double down on those contributions later on.
Yeah, so starting early eases the pressure as you get older. Makes sense. Which brings us to our folks in their 40s. What's the magic number for them?
For the 40s, the article suggests a monthly investment of around $1,600. It might seem like a big leap, but, medical professionals in their 40s are more established. They have a higher earning potential, and they might have a little bit more financial wiggle room than they did in their 20s and 30s.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I see here that they talk about, reviewing your savings and budget. Maybe that means cutting back on takeout dinners a couple times a week, or finding some ways to boost your income. Is that kind of what they're getting at here?
Yeah, it's all about making choices that align with your long-term goals, right? Are you willing to sacrifice a few lattes today for a more comfortable and secure tomorrow? And investing $1,600 each month consistently in a smart way can still get you to that $3 million mark, even if you are starting a bit later.
Okay, so we talked about 20s, 30s, and 40s. What about those entering their 50s? Now, that's where things probably start to feel really, really serious.
Yeah, it does get a little bit more serious. We're looking at a recommended $4,000 monthly investment here. Might seem daunting, but a lot of medical professionals are at the peak of their earning power in their 50s. And the article emphasizes the importance of maximizing contributions to your employer-sponsored retirement plans, like your 401k. And also taking advantage of those tax benefits offered by IRAs.
So while the number seems large, they're suggesting we leverage these existing tools to make it more manageable.
Exactly, using all the tools in your financial toolbox. By combining those strategies with a well-structured, diversified investment plan. Hitting that $3 million target is still very possible, even if you're starting a little bit later in the game.
Okay, so We've covered a lot of ground here, throwing out these big numbers, diving into these different age groups, but I want to pause for a second and just sort of like have you think. What's sticking with you so far? Are any of these numbers kind of resonating with where you're at in your career? Take a moment to think about how this might fit into your own personal financial plan.
And when we come back, we'll unpack some more specific strategies and takeaways from the article to help you make those numbers work for you.
Okay, so we laid out sort of like the roadmap to this whole $3 million retirement goal, but now let's shift gears a little bit and talk about some ways that we can actually make it happen. One thing that this article really emphasized was the importance of diversification, which sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty simple.
It's a crucial concept, but yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Think of it like your investments are like a healthy diet. You wouldn't want to just eat one type of food, right?
Mm-hmm.
Diversification is about spreading your investments across different asset classes, like stocks and bonds and real estate, so that if one area is not doing so well, the others can help balance things out.
Oh, okay. So it's like building a really strong foundation for your financial house and making sure that it can withstand, the ups and downs of the market.
Yeah.
But how do you even, like, as someone who is just starting out, how do they know where to even begin with diversifying?
Well, if you're new to investing, a target date fund could be a good option. These funds, they automatically adjust their mix of investments as you get closer to retirement. It's kind of like having a financial advisor built right in.
Oh, that's super convenient. The article also mentioned something called tax-advantaged accounts, which I'll be honest, those always kind of make my head spin a little bit. Can you break those down for us?
Yeah, think of them like secret weapons for your retirement savings. These accounts, like 401ks and IRAs, they let your investments grow without being taxed until you retire. So that means more money stays invested and has more potential to grow. It's like getting a bonus from the government for saving for your future.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. So we've got diversification and these tax-advantaged accounts. Any other key tips that the article highlighted that we should keep in mind?
One thing that stood out to me was regularly reviewing and adjusting your financial plan. Because life throws curveballs, right? Your income might change. You might have some unexpected expenses. Maybe your risk tolerance shifts. So it's important to stay flexible and make adjustments as needed.
Yeah, so it's not just about setting it and forgetting it. It's about staying engaged and adapting as you go along.
Exactly. And you don't have to navigate this complex world of finance alone. Seeking guidance from a qualified financial advisor can be really invaluable. They can help you create a personalized roadmap, and they'll take into account your own specific circumstances and goals. It's like having a trusted co-pilot on your journey to financial freedom.
I love that analogy. That's great. Because it can be pretty overwhelming trying to figure all this out on your own. So having an expert in your corner can definitely give you that extra peace of mind.
Definitely. And they can also help you navigate those complex tax laws.
Right.
And make sure you're maximizing your savings potential.
Awesome. So, okay, we've talked about the importance of aiming high for retirement, especially for medical professionals. We've broken down those investment goals by age. We've looked at how these really powerful tools like compounding and tax-advantaged accounts can work in our favor. And I kind of want to zoom out a little bit. What's the big takeaway here?
Well, I think the key takeaway is that reaching a significant retirement goal like $3 million is absolutely achievable, even with all the unique demands of a medical career. This article really highlights that with the right knowledge and strategies. You can build a solid foundation for a really comfortable and secure future.
So it's not about being intimidated by the numbers. It's about understanding those tools and principles that can help you get there.
Exactly. It's about taking control of your financial destiny and creating a future where you have the freedom to pursue your passions, travel, spend time with loved ones, or just relax and enjoy everything we've worked for.
That's beautiful. But I'm curious, the article really focused on this $3 million figure. Is that truly the magic number for everybody?
That's a great question, and it actually leads us to a really important point. While $3 million is a solid starting point, it's not necessarily a one-size-fits-all solution.
Okay, so then how do you figure out what the right number is for you? It's not like there's this, universal retirement calculator that spits out a perfect answer.
No, there isn't.
Mm-hmm.
But there are ways to personalize that number.
So if it's not as simple as, plugging in some numbers into a calculator, how do we figure out what that perfect retirement number is for us?
Well, it starts with envisioning your ideal retirement. Close your eyes for a second and just picture it. Where do you see yourself living? What are you doing? Are you traveling the world, spending time with family, maybe starting a new hobby?
Okay.
Yeah, got a picture, beautiful beach, maybe a little sailboat. But how do we translate that into, dollars and cents? Well, once you have that vision, You can start to break it down. How much is it going to cost to live in your dream location? What are your estimated travel expenses? How much are those hobbies going to cost?
So we're talking about like creating a retirement budget even before we retire.
Exactly. It's about anticipating those future needs and desires. And don't forget about those potential healthcare costs that we talked about earlier. As medical professionals, you're more aware than anyone that healthcare can be a significant expense, especially as we age.
Yeah, it's definitely better to factor those costs in now rather than be caught off guard later. This is starting to feel a lot more personal than just aiming for some like generic number.
It should. Retirement planning isn't just about finances. It's about designing a future that aligns with your values and aspirations. It's about creating a life that you're excited to wake up to every single day, even without the structure of a career.
I love that. So, okay, we walked through the why behind aiming for, a substantial retirement nest egg. We broke down those investment goals by age, and we looked at how those powerful tools like compounding and tax-advantaged accounts can really work in our favor. And I think most importantly, we kind of shifted the focus from a generic number to a personalized vision of your dream retirement.
And that's the key takeaway here. While the article that we explored offered some really valuable insights and a solid framework, it's really up to you to take that knowledge and tailor it to your own unique situation.
Yeah, it's like we gave you the ingredients in the recipe, but you're the chef. You get to decide what kind of delicious retirement you want to create.
Exactly. So take this information, explore further, crunch those numbers, and don't be afraid to seek guidance from a qualified financial advisor.
Because your dream retirement is within reach. It's not a fantasy. It's a goal that you can achieve with the right planning and action. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep those retirement dreams alive and start building that brighter future today.